Hey guys, it's Kim. I'm live here from our son's old bedroom. It was the only quiet place in the house, so here I am. We're going to get started with our heart rate guided training 101 / Q&A session. So if you're here and you're live with me, shout out, say hi. Questions can be asked in the comment section below. I'll kind of go over just a list of topics that I have. Here are questions that I receive frequently regarding heart rate guided training, and then I'll answer your questions as they're posted below. Anybody that comments or asks questions below will be entered to win an entry to the workshop that we're holding on May 17th at Clear Rock Fitness. So ask your questions, and I'll do a drawing later this afternoon before we stop. All right, the first topic, the most asked question I have, is what is heart rate guided training? Heart rate guided training is exercise done by monitoring your heart rate with a heart rate monitor. That exercise can be any kind of cardio, running, walking, biking, swimming. You can use it with your strength training sessions. So you would be monitoring your heart rate. The way you monitor your heart rate while you're doing that is with a heart rate monitor. And there are a couple different kinds of heart rate monitors that they're on the market. There are heart rate monitors that use a chest strap that goes, actually I have one right here so I can show you. This would be the chest strap, and it would go right up against your skin around your chest. That is one of the most accurate ways to monitor actually the most accurate way to monitor your heart rate while you're exercising. And this strap then will communicate with a watch that you wear on your wrist. There are numbers of different brands and models out there, which I will go over later in the live broadcast, and then include a link to when we're done as well. Why use heart rate guided training? Lots of people ask that question. It is used to help appropriately scale exercise to each individual. So each individual is able to make their workout their own. You could use a couple different other methods to do that. Rate of perceived exertion, how hard do you feel like you're working? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it, just uncomfortable? The heart rate guided training can help monitor your body where your heart is telling you how hard you're working. You have zones specifically determined for your body, for you, and then you pay attention to those zones on your monitor. There are zones 1 through 5. Zones 1 and 2 are the ones that are going to be the most targeted. Zone 2 is going to be the sweet spot. That's where the magic happens, like we like to say. It's where you build endurance, and it's where you're going to burn the most fat and most efficient for weight loss. When do you monitor your heart rate? During exercise. I covered that already. How? With the heart rate monitor. So like I said, this is one I happen to have. This one also happens to have GPS. They don't have to have GPS if you're doing an activity where you're inside on a treadmill or an elliptical. There are very basic models out there you can get for about $50. Polar makes one, Polar, and it's super easy to use. You strap it on, you strap on the strap, and you go. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then you have models all the way up to, they're really expensive, $700-800 that have GPS included. And again, can read right here, tell you where you're at. There are wrist-based, so you don't have to have a lot of people don't like the strap around their chest, and that's okay. The wrist-based are a lot more accurate than they used to be. This model actually does have wrist-based heart rate on the back as well. The beauty about this one, this is a Garmin 235, is that you can either use the wrist-based heart rate, or you can have a strap connected to it as well, so you can get a little more accurate. I'll explain the differences and what I found in my use and the differences in those here shortly. Then another model that you can use for heart rate is the Apple Watch. It also has the wrist base. It does not do a strap. I've heard from the people at the Apple store that there is a way to get a Bluetooth strap to communicate with it, but I don't have one, so I haven't tried that. I'm going to put that back on so I don't lose it. All right. So going over the chest strap options, we already talked about the Polar FT4. I'll include links to all of these later, so that way everybody will be able to see what everything is and where they can buy it if they're interested. Checking on something right here for you. The Garmin 235 that I mentioned. Then there's the Garmin 25, which is a less expensive option. And it also comes with a chest strap, or you can buy the chest strap separately. It depends on how that goes. Then there's the wrist-based. There's the Garmin 235, the Garmin Vivo Active HR, the Apple Watch, and then the Fitbit Charge HR, which I guess has a new model, the Charge 2 HR. The benefit of the Apple Watch and the Garmin 235, the Vivo Active, these newer models that have the wrist-based heart rate are also activity monitors. So you wear them 24/7. A lot of them monitor sleep as well. I think the only one that doesn't monitor sleep is the Apple Watch. Moving along to the heart rate zones. Hi, Kelly. I see you joined. Shoot out a comment if you have a question. Zones 1 through 5. Zone 1 is active recovery. That's going to be used after you have a tougher workout, or if you're not feeling maybe 100%, you want to still want to exercise, but you don't want to push too hard. So active, zone 1 is active recovery for that. Kelly says the Apple Watch does monitor sleep, and yes, she is very correct. It does monitor sleep. I find when I use it to monitor sleep that I was trying to find times to charge my Apple Watch during the day. So if you have a better suggestion for that, I'm open to hearing. Zone 2 is train body to use fat efficiently and you burn endurance. So that's going to be where you're going to optimize fat loss in Zone 2. It's also the zone you're going to be in. Runners, for example, that's the zone you're going to train in most often, especially if you're training for a half or a full marathon. That's going to be your long, slow run on Saturdays. That's going to be most of your runs during the week, unless you're doing speed work. Speed work is for more advanced runners. Zone 3 is where you increase tolerance for anaerobic threshold, tempo pace, and utilize more carbs than fat. So zones 3, 4, and 5 are going to be higher zones that you're only going to use if you're in more advanced training or if you're doing some kind of interval training. Zones 4 and 5 are intervals. You're going to use most of your fuel from carbohydrate, not from fat. It's also a lot more stress on your body and takes longer to recover when you're training in those higher heart rate zones. So how do you determine your heart rate zones? There are a couple different ways to do that. One of those is called the Carvonen method, and I will include a link to that after I'm done with this broadcast so that you're able to figure that out on your own. Kelly just asked, how do I calculate my zone 2? Kelly, I will give you a link when we are done with this live broadcast. There is also a way where you go and get a test done at a place called the VO2 Max test. I have local Columbus places that I'll include once I'm done too, at Baseline Fitness or Max Sports Medicine. They both can do VO2 Max tests. That's the most accurate way you're going to get your heart rate zones. That being said, the Carvonen method is also a very, it's the next best thing next to getting the VO2 Max test done. We use it at the studio for our tread classes, which is a heart rate guided training on the treadmill where you walk and you have a happy zone 2 walk set to a great playlist. And it's been a huge success, a lot of fun to see all these women really getting involved in zone 2 training. Resting heart rate. Resting heart rate is basically going to determine how your body's recovering from exercise. So you can find your resting heart rate first thing in the morning before you get out of bed. To get your average resting heart rate, you want to do this for 3 to 5 days, not consecutively. And then you will take the average after that, and that'll be your average resting heart rate. So then you can monitor that frequently. Not necessarily every day, but if you're going to have a hard workout coming up, like say I'm waking up, it's a Wednesday morning, and I do speed work on Wednesday mornings, I'm going to go ahead and, check my resting heart rate. If it's normal or a couple beats above normal, I'm going to go ahead and my normal workout, and that's fine. If it's not normal, if it's elevated, 5 or 10 beats above normal, I'm, not feeling 100%, it might be an indication that my body needs more recovery time, that I'm dehydrated, that I'm coming down with an illness, I'm overtraining. There's a bunch of different reasons. So in that case, I would either switch my workout that day to a zone 1 or 2, an active recovery, or something that's not going to stress out my body even more, or I would postpone and take a complete rest day, either postpone that speed work to the next day, or just say, you know what, this week I can skip it, it's okay. If you have some kind of interval training, you don't necessarily have to do it that day. Postpone it, give your body that extra day of rest. It's better than, pushing through. There's the saying, no pain, no gain isn't always the best way to go. That's why the heart rate training is so important, because the heart is not going to lie. You're going to get that accurate information. It's not subjective. It's data. You take that data and you apply it to the situation, and we give you different ways to do that. All right, moving on. One more thing really quick, and then we're going to wrap up. Interval training and speed work is for more advanced athletes or exercisers, not for beginners. 1 to 2 days a week max. So when you're doing interval training and speed work, you want to make sure that you're doing a good warm up and a cool down. So that means about 10 minutes or a mile warm up. Same thing with cool down. Don't skip those. If anything, if you're short on time, you want to cut the interval work or the speed work down in the middle. The interval training and speed work is done in zones 3, 4, and 5, and that may be, you do something for, 1 or 2 laps on the track, at a zone 3, 4, or 5 pace, and then you do a recovery. Or it might be done by time. I'm going to run or sprint or, swim fast or cycle, whichever kind of interval you're doing for a minute or 2, and then you take the recovery, whatever your recovery interval is, whether it be 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. So the following day after interval work should be complete rest or active recovery. And if your resting heart rate, like I was talking about, is elevated by more than a couple beats or has been trending higher, consider postponing the workout or doing active recovery or skipping and taking a rest day. So that's all the information I had. I see Kelly had how do I calculate my zone 2. So I will post the link to the Carbonin method. You will have to monitor your resting heart rate for a couple days to get the resting heart rate, or to use the calculation, because it is a calculation that includes your age and your resting heart rate. So follow the instructions, which I will post, to get your resting heart rate, and then you can plug that number into the Carbonin formula, and you'll be able to figure out your resting heart rate. Your zones, and it'll tell you how to do all that stuff. All kinds of fun. So I'm going to wrap up now. If you guys have any other questions, you can post them in the comments and I can respond later. Kelly asked another question. As a beginner, what should my goal be to exercise in zone 2? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me there. What should my goal be to exercise in zone 2? Are you talking about time? Are you talking about how many days per week? Zone 2 should be your goal for every cardio exercise. How long? So if you're a very, very beginner, I would say you want to start maybe 15 to 20 minutes at a time. Then, start adding on 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. But you want to aim to do cardio 3 to 5 days a week, 30 minutes at a time, and you want to be in zone 2 for your, you want to be spending most of your time in zone 2. So 3 to 5 days, work up to 30 minutes at a time, and that, of course, is in addition to strength training. You're getting your strength training in, right, Kelly? So, once you work up to 30 minutes, then you want to do that 3 to 5 times a week. So, all right. I think that's it for today. I hope this is helpful. I'm going to post this so that everybody can watch it if you missed it, weren't able to tell it at 4 o'clock. I know that a lot of people are still working. I was kind of doing a test run to see how well attended it was at this time of day. Maybe it's something that I can move later in the evening if I have more interest. So it was good to see you guys. Thanks for asking questions, and have a wonderful day.